As in most areas of life, the process space attracts its share of myths, misunderstandings about the purpose and practice of process management and improvement. If unaddressed, their impact multiplies, but on the positive side, they provide great opportunities for discussion and learning. This is the first of 2 videos about process myths. Part 1 discusses 3 common myths, and Part 2 will cover another 4. Myths are imaginary, but their impact can be real. Let's explore that a little more. The myths around process management and improvement can cause serious roadblocks. Let's bust a few of those myths. So these are the myths that I want to cover in these 2 videos, Part 1 and Part 2. I'm sure it's not an exhaustive list of all of the myths. You might have some to add. But we'll deal with these one at a time as we go through each of the videos. In this video, Part 1, we'll deal with these 3. We'll talk about whether process is about the customer and whether already doing process improvement is a reason or an excuse for not doing process management. And what about automating? If we're going to automate the process, maybe we don't care about anything else. Let's find out. So process is not about the customer. Now, this is a fairly common thing that people will tell me. And obviously they have a very different understanding of process than I do. Because one of the very first things, and perhaps the most important thing we're going to do in thinking about and analysing a process, is to say, what's the purpose of the process? What value is it meant to deliver, and to whom? And there's always someone or something which is requiring value from a process, whether it's a big process or a small process. And that customer might be internal or external, but the process has a purpose. And that's important, it's fundamental. So we can't be saying process is not about the customer. I think what people are thinking when they do that, or their experience that's led them to that view, is that they've seen way too many process models that didn't go anywhere, or they participated in process workshops that they didn't think were effective. And so it all seems like it's about us. It's a very internal view. And we have these arguments about whether we should be inside out or outside in. Should we be worrying about ourselves, the organisation, or should we step outside and look back in to the organisation to see what the customer experience might be? And why do we need to choose only one of those? Presumably our customers will be disappointed if we go out of business. So we need to be both inside out and outside in. Our organisation is a stakeholder in our own processes, and therefore we need to be satisfied by them as well. Of course, if we're the only ones happy about the process and our customers aren't, then it's a moot point. We won't be around for very long. So process is not about the customer. Busted. Of course it's about the customer. Processes exist to deliver value, and there's always a customer. So here's the second one. So organisations might say, well, we're already doing lots of good process improvement work, and perhaps we are. We've got lots of workshops going on like this, and perhaps we're delivering actual sustained organisational performance improvement. And that's a good thing. Well done, keep going. But how are you choosing which processes to improve? How do you know where the best return on process is going to be? That's the process management part. That's the piece that should come beforehand. That's how we make those wise choices about which processes we should be improving and where to invest our time. And it can be a lot of time. We've got groups of people in workshops like this and in other ways investing time and money in analysing and looking to improve a process. We can't get the best process improvement unless we're working on the best process. We have to choose wisely which processes we're going to invest in. So already doing process improvement, is that enough? Certainly not. Busted. We need to be doing both process management and process improvement. And there's at least one other video in this series on that topic exactly. So here's our third idea, our third myth for this video. And that's, okay, well, we don't need to worry too much about all of our processes because we're going to automate them all. And that'll make all the problems go away. Really? I don't think so. I think if we're actually looking to automate a process, then the thing we need to know is everything we can about the process. We don't want to be automating something because we don't understand it. And that's not going to end well. So I think the more we're thinking of automating, the deeper and more profound the knowledge is we need about the process. If we are automating, then perhaps the knowledge we need is a little different than if we're not. But we can't just say, oh no, we don't need to model or analyse or improve processes, we'll just automate them and the magic will happen. Well, you know as well as I do, the magic seldom happens. And we need to understand our processes. We need to be able to forecast what the automation is going to do. Why are we automating? What is the performance improvement that we're looking to get from automation? Because automation is just one way of improving the performance of a process. So we certainly need to know what it was like before and what it's like afterwards. We need to be able to test the efficacy of the automation, if nothing else. So don't forget about process work. We're just going to automate everything. Busted. That's not going to end well. So they're the 3 myths that we're dealing with in this video, and there's 4 more to come in part 2. So process not about the customer? No. Process is all about the customer, all about all of the customers, internal and external, and other kinds of stakeholders. We already improve our processes, we don't need to do anything else. Well, congratulations if that's true, keep going. And you do need to do something else. You need to make wise choices. You get more and more mature about choosing the right processes that you should be improving and in the right sequence. And forget about process work. We're just going to automate everything. That's not going to work. We know that's not going to end well. So there's 3 processes that I hope you agree are busted. And I think analysing and talking about identifying the myths that exist in our organisations is important, because they can have a big impact. And in these 2 videos, we're going through 7 myths, 7 common myths. But every organisation probably has their own peculiar myths as well that have been developed based on history and other particular circumstances in the organisation. And I think it's important that we understand what those myths are and we counter them. We deal with them before they can become serious problems. Because in that way, then we're able to do good process management, and that leads us to even better process improvement. And as I say many times, the whole purpose of our process-based management work is to do good process management that leads to better process improvement, that leads to organisational performance improvement. Let's find those myths and bust them. Thanks for joining me for this Process Insight. I hope you found this discussion of process myths interesting and useful. Look out for part 2 to complete the set of the most common myths. If you come across other myths, we'd love to hear about them if you're able to share. Forewarned is forearmed. You have my contact details and I'd be delighted to connect. Thanks for sharing this time with me. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'd love to hear from you.